Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the Recharge Your Life online video series. I'm your host, Phaedra Antioco, and right now we are going to be talking everything sleep, what sleep postures to have, how to sleep the right way, even sleeping to reduce your wrinkles, and what type of pillow to use, what type of mattress to use. Dr. Peter Martone is going to be sharing this in healthy sleep habits and postures to recharge your life. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Peter Martone. He's a world-known sleep specialist, and he's been helping his patients sleep for over 20 years. Dr. Martone's techniques have been featured on CBS, NBC, and Fox News channels. And it's also, Dr. Martone has patented a new type of pillow called the Neck Nest, which is designed to help people get a great night's sleep while reversing the damage effects of texting and modern lifestyle. So stay tuned to this great interview. You're going to want to take notes here with this. There's a lot of great information. All right, I'll see you during the interview. Hi, Dr. Martone. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Phaedra. When we talked about what your mission was, I really connected with it. So I'm so excited to help your audience get better night's sleep wherever
possible.
Glad
to have you here because everyone's always asking me, what mattress should I use? What pillow should I use? And you and I met last weekend, and you stood up and you were talking about your magic pillow that you created, and we're going to get to that, but I want to just get into sleep because I haven't been able to find a lot of experts who specialize in this, and we're sleeping 8 hours a day. Our body's holding these positions. So where did you get started in becoming a sleep expert?
So I have a bunch of different backgrounds, and I'm an exercise physiologist, I'm a nutritionist, I'm a chiropractor, and I've always really focused on structure and alignment. And I've always been really focused on sleep. Right. And about 6 years ago, I was mountain biking. There was a kind of a perfect storm of events that happened. I was mountain biking, I had a bad injury, and I herniated a disc. Oh. But from that point earlier, I had always had lower back pain. It kind of a little humbling as a chiropractor to be a chiropractor, be helping people with pain, and I've always suffered from it my whole life. So what I did is when I was in the hospital bed, I was a little depressed, and I believe that all highs come from really bad lows. Okay. And I said, how did this come to this? Where, yeah, I had an injury, but if I was really being truthful and honest with myself, I always had pain. So I did a review of 2,000 x-rays. So 1,000 patient files, 2,000 x-rays in total. And I was looking for a pattern that I knew existed, but I really wasn't sure of because I've been adjusting people for a long time. And I saw patterns, but I went back to look for them. And what I found and discovered is the whole epicenter of what, where we'll talk about neutral sleep position. We'll get into positions and beds and stuff. And I found that I didn't have a back problem. And most people come into my office with the back problem. I have rotated hips, yes. My hips are out of alignment, yes. I had a weak disc, yes. But that wasn't where the problem started. The problem was because of my being on patients forward all day long, being on a computer all day long, being on my phone, I had a neck issue where I was reversing the cervical spine of my neck, and we'll talk about it. And it just picked up. The way my body adapted was with a twisted lower back. So it's almost like this. If you walk with one shoe on and one shoe off, that creates an imbalance. And somebody will come in with back pain. Well, the problem didn't start there. And what I found with this review is it started in my neck. And then that is really what started me on this path of perfect sleep position and how do you sleep and what position to sleep in and things like that.
Okay, well, it is near impossible for me, and I know many of my clients, to change how they're going to sleep. And I do know that my posture and sleep affects my low back and low SI pain. And so I have a pillow that I sleep with between my knees sometimes when I want to, because I just want to get in bed after a long day and just sleep however I want without having to change it. How do we deal with our sleep postures if we feel like we don't have control over it?
And you are absolutely correct, Phaedra. You don't have control of it. But what you do have control of is how you start off. And if we make this a lifestyle discipline of just starting off in the right way, I just need you to start in one position. We'll get to that position. With the pillow in the right place, we'll get to that. And deal with that for an hour, maybe an hour and a half a night. If you do that every single night, what you do for the rest of the night doesn't matter. Because what I know, eventually your body will come around, because we toss and turn because we're in pain in our subconscious brain. So you are not consciously aware of why you toss and turn. So your subconscious brain is doing it. So if we start off in what I call a neutral sleeping position, eventually it takes time for your body to get used to it. But if you're self-disciplined enough just to start that way, you will revolutionize the way that you sleep.
All right. I will work on that.
And we'll get to what that is. It sounds a lot easier said than done, but transformation truly happens with consistent lifestyle change.
Okay, so let's just talk about appropriate sleep hygiene and lead into what kind of mattress or what you recommend for your patients, and then what pillows.
Okay. So the best thing, nothing ever can take the place of consistency, right? Your body wants consistency. It wants to eat the same stuff all the time. It wants to, exercise the same all the time. It wants to do the same thing. So regularity, the time you go to bed to the time that you wake up, keeping that consistent is the first thing that you want to do. Second thing that you want to do, which we have a thing that's called the 30-day sleep quest, where we teach people in 30 days what to do. So I'm pulling out like the top things out of that. And one of the things is something that I've kind of haven't heard people speak about, but it's you can't think yourself to sleep. So you can't be here thinking.
It's the opposite. This keeps you up.
It keeps you up. You have to remember yourself to sleep, because your think centers are here and your sleep centers are back here. Your think centers are here and your sleep centers are back here, where you remember. Your remember brain's back there. So you have to remember. You have to feel it. It has to be a good feeling. It has to be a good memory. And you don't want to just remember, let's say, a walk on the beach. You want to think about how that makes you feel and what the smells were, and really tap into that emotion of that sleep, of that memory. The further back you go, the better off you are. And the happier that memory, and the better it makes you feel, the better off you are. And the more consistent you are remembering the same thing over and over and over again, the quicker you'll go to sleep.
And I think we learn it by feeling, and that's the work I do. Partially, one of the tools I use is somatic experiencing. And I think so much is we're in our heads, we're busy, we're worrying, we're bombarded with so much information. But the theme of this series, many people are saying awareness, bringing yourself back to your body, quieting the mind, and being in. So I love how you're talking about resourcing to a pleasant memory, a pleasant experience. That's
it's so important, because really sleep is a big mind game.
Oh yes.
Yeah, literally, right? Temperature plays a role, right? So you don't want to be eating too late at night. Sleep position is critical to be able to get a great night's sleep comfortably. And then the beds, which we can dive into. But really, it's starting out with consistency and try to get out of our own heads, right? Literally. And, you can do that by journaling in the middle of the day to kind of get your thoughts out. You are not going to figure out the world's problems at night. Although it's very addictive to think at night, just give yourself the permission to just be asleep and be rested. Try so hard, and it's so hard to get out of your own head, because when you're consciously thinking, you can't fall asleep. You got to consciously remember, rhythmic, count your breath, count things that are rhythmic.
Okay, and are blue lights from our phones, iPads, all of that really hurting us?
Oh, in more ways than you know. So the blue light, what it's doing is causing some macular degeneration in your eyes, but it keeps you stimulated. And then what it also does, because we're so addicted, and we'll talk about this, to our phones, it keeps us like this. And it's causing the depending, so it's so much more critical to focus on your sleeping position now, because our spines are de-evolving. I always loved that painting or the picture where you see the ape a million years of evolution. It's an ape, and then it's something else, then it's something else, then it's something else. It's taken a million years to evolve, and then they show a guy sipping on a Slurpee, overweight. In 10 years, we de-evolved. I envision that due to our being on the phones, due to computer work, due to, texting, our spines are de-evolving, and the only way to reverse that damaging effect of the modern day lifestyle is at night, putting your body in a neutral sleeping position.
Okay, so we should detox from our phones and our gadgets.
We really should.
Boy, lifestyle has really created this as just the forefront. You just have to almost have one and use it all the time, and you really have to be disciplined to cut it off.
And that's the tough. The more dependent we become on it, the more damage it's causing to not just us but our youth also. Think about them. I mean, we didn't grow up on it; they did, and it's. I'm not time stamping you, Phaedra, but
I know I look like I'm 20, but I'm in my 40s.
But
we got to move. We got to explore the world. We looked around and moved our eyes instead of our eyes being narrow on a computer, narrow on a phone. And I definitely remember you mentioning that our body follows our eyes, but we're like this all the time. Guilty.
Yeah, we all are. And then the problem is the more we're like that, and the more we damage our cervical spine, our body follows where our eyes go. And then your hips rotate, which is what happened to me. Then it becomes more difficult to sleep in the right sleeping position, because by starting in the right sleeping position, it's painful and it's uncomfortable. So we have to begin with the end in mind. We have to say, okay. I'm sorry.
Nope. I'm listening.
So we begin with the end in mind. So if we know we're like this all day, the only way to reverse that is to be like this. And I know this is Phaedra.
I'm having so much resistance right now because after a long day, I just want to go in and get my pillow and lay on my side.
Snuggle, that's part of the thing, right? That's why these weighted blankets are so important.
Oh, those are awesome. Yes.
Because what happened, we're like ostriches, right? When an ostrich is in trouble, what does it do?
Buries its head in the sand?
Sticks its head in the ground. When we feel protected, we're like this, right? And when we sleep, we want to just cuddle and feel protected.
And it's a strong urge. It's such a strong urge.
It is. In the best sleeping position, we're going to unveil it right now. Here's the big reveal. It's sleeping on your back. No, people like
I'm having chest pain right now.
But it's the only way to open this up. And you feel so exposed. So what you can do, just like the ostrich, you can take a pillow, you can put it over your eyes, right? You can take a pillow, put it on your chest. You can hug the pillow. You want to feel protected, so you use weight to be able to do that.
You're giving me alternatives then to my side sleeping happiness. Yes. Okay. All right. Hug a pillow, put it up, covering your eyes. It's that deep pressure too. It's that flexion, that calming deep pressure. Okay.
And that will soothe you. It will make you feel more comfortable, more protected. Okay. And then another thing, before we get into which bed to use, so I told you to sleep on your back, which is the best sleeping position. Start on your back for 1 to 2 hours a night. That's it. That's all I need. But the bed, if you can get one of those beds that adjusts. So now what I used to recommend for my patients is very, very different, because I don't recommend any coil beds anymore, because I recommend a bed that can bend, because what's become more important to me is the Craftmatic adjustable piece underneath the bed. So being able to sleep slightly elevated, 5 to 8 degrees is what the research says, and then take the angle out of your legs. So you're almost sleeping in like this little neutral position, in that zero gravity position. And that's a great way to start being able to sleep on your back, is to, instead of sleeping flat, is to take the angle out, because then you won't feel like you're falling back as much.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Is there a slight flexion in the knees because we sit too much? We get tight in our belly muscles, our psoas, our quads, all of that tightens up, hamstrings especially. And I often say, let's lie flat at night so that you can stretch out those 8 hours.
So that is this is a great point. It is way better to lie flat. But at the beginning, when somebody's spine is out of alignment and you're trying to become a back sleeper, It's because you're stretching out, which you are correct. It's pulling what I didn't tell you is I said when my head comes forward, my lower back twisted, right? I didn't tell you what caused my lower back to twist. It's a muscle in your body called your psoas major. It's the only muscle in the human body that attaches directly to a disc. That's why my disc weakened. So when you lie on your back, it is actually pulling on your disc and causes back pain. So people lie on their back and they say, I can't sleep on my back because my back hurts. Exactly. You want to go through that because we're beginning with the end in mind. As the alignment is happening, sometimes it causes a little bit more discomfort. But if you take the angle out of the legs by sleeping slightly elevated, that helps at the beginning.
Okay. I actually am pulling up this psoas right now, and I'm going to share it with everybody so they can see. This is a huge problem, muscle. Okay, my sharing's not working. Let's see.
And you know what I'll do, Phaedra, is I'll set up a necknest.com/recharge link, and I'll put pictures there of things that we talked about and illustrations there and what the psoas is. I'll put all of that there for you.
I am not prepared. I do usually have one. It's there. Yeah, it's very important. So thank you for putting that there.
Okay.
So then we're really looking at tricking ourselves. We're seeking comfort. So we want to go into those not great habits. So you've given us a couple of modifications we can do to provide that comfort. So it's not go from side sleeping flex to, it's going to upset your nervous system a little bit to go flat. So you put a little pillow under there. It's a good negotiation to get comfortable and start the process of sleeping on your back.
It is.
Okay.
Correct.
And also, when I was looking at your website, and I did not know this, as I'm in my 40s now, I didn't know that how you sleep can cause you wrinkles.
Yes, it can.
So can you share a little bit about that? I've never thought about it.
Based on the audience that we're communicating with, I think it is very, very important. So you will hear and you'll see pillows that are out there that are wrinkle-free pillows, or the face happy pillows, or whatever they are, whatever they're called. But when you lie on your face on your side, have you ever laid on your side, wake up, and you have wrinkles on your face?
Always.
Stretching out the collagen, and I mean, it's almost like doing this. It's almost gaining a lot of weight and then losing it. You're stretching out the collagen fibers. So if you want in life, right, as we age, we want to be tight, right? We want to keep things tight. You don't want things to fall and stretch out. So one of the best ways to be able to do that is to not sleep on your face. That is why if you want to protect your face and not have wrinkles, you want to sleep on your back.
Okay. All right.
And add, silica and collagen and all that kind of stuff to your diet. But sleeping on your back is a great way to be wrinkle-free.
All right, everybody. Do you want to commit with me? I'm really I'm like up in my chair cringing right now.
I love it. So when Phaedra and I were together, she went home with the neck nest, and she goes, I just can't get used to it. I'm like, I know all you need to do. Yeah.
Here's the neck nest. But it says your head goes here, your shoulders go here.
I put that on for everybody so they knew which direction to use it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is very new, and it's really making me uncomfortable. So that's why I was squirming a little bit before. You're like, do you have a question? I'm like, no. So I will. So here's kind of, you can describe it, but I do like how you have the name there.
Yeah, that's when they leave from my factory, they don't have that. That's a special one for you, but maybe I'll put that on all of them.
Oh, yep. Okay.
So what that is you have a 2-chambered design. Push it all the way down, like scrunch it all the way down. What some people believe is, and then move it sideways. So yeah, see how squishy it gets? Like it gets really, 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 really squishy. Like go to squeeze it like this. Yeah, see?
It's very comfortable. I love the material. Very comfortable.
But you're only trying to support a small amount. You're only trying to support 3 inches, the distance from your neck to the bed. That's it. And so that big pillow should go all the way down to a small little circle. And
that's what I was doing. I was putting it down here, and I was doing it wrong. And so you want it
angled. Now tuck the top underneath your neck. So squeeze it all the way down. Yep, there you go with your both hands. And now put your neck back. But squeeze it under there more.
Yeah, it's hard when you're not Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little tough, but Phaedra, I'm gonna have a special video to show you exactly how to use it. I will
Okay.
put that on the site too.
Because I'm doing interviews, I'm working really hard, and I just want
Yeah.
to go in bed at night and just be like, surrender. And so I'm trying to use a new pillow, and so I'm getting used to it. But I am noticing less neck tension. So that's good because I've been at the computer for a good amount of time this week. So I do notice that it's kind of helping me open up the front of my body.
You'll notice less neck tension, but
Yeah.
the kind of the weird part about that is as you sleep on your back a little bit more, you'll have more lower back pain. So you'll have less neck tension and more back pain because as you improve the neck, it untwists. So you think with the end in mind. The
Okay,
neutral
the process.
position is lying on your back with the neck nest underneath your neck, and then you start there. The longer you stay in that position, the more unwinding you will get. You just have to give that time. That's all. In the middle of the night, let's say you wake up at 2 a.m. and you can't use it anymore, throw it on the floor. I don't care what you do with it. It's like a neck or sleep orthotic. Don't think of it as a pillow.
But pillows that people are using are considered orthotics because I know a lot of my patients, especially older, can't even lie flat because they've been forward their whole lives and they're in their 80s now. So big fat pillows aren't good either.
No, because that's doing this.
Yeah. Exacerbating the forward flexion of being on a phone all day.
And then what happens, now we're going to kind of dive in. This will really blow your mind. I didn't talk to you about this.
Okay.
But as your neck comes forward, you put pressure on the base of the occiput, which is called the atlas area. Okay.
Yeah, I feel that. Right up the top of the head where it meets the neck, everyone.
And then the atlas is right next to something that's called the vagus nerve.
Oh, yeah.
You heard of the vagus nerve?
Yep.
So when you put pressure on that vagus nerve, you throw off hormone development, right? So your hormones get thrown out of balance. And most of the time when somebody has damage to their neck, or if somebody has a thyroid issue or some sort of hormone irregularity, the thyroid's involved. When you have a reverse cervical curve, you're causing arthritic and degenerative changes at C5, C6, which puts direct pressure on the nerve that goes to the thyroid gland also. So when you lose that cervical spine, you're causing thyroid irregularity and hormone imbalance due to those two areas of nerve pressure.
So you're saying the atlas, and it puts pressure on the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is responsible for hormone production, helping the organs produce
body regulates
hormone.
It's a main parasympathetic nerve in the human body.
And then you get thyroid issues and hormone issues.
Due to C5, C6 degeneration with reverse cervical curves.
And
somebody has a thyroid issue in my office, even before I take the x-ray, I tell them that there's going to be degeneration at C5, C6. And in 87% of the time, it's there. 87% of the time, that thyroid condition could have been stopped or reversed due to fixing the structure of that spine.
Wow. Okay. So sleep is very important. Posture, now you're showing me, is very important because, again, I do work with people getting into their parasympathetic nervous system more, because if they're dysregulated, stressed out, depressed, anxious, then it's going to impact their ability to digest their food, really have good blood pressure, their respiration, their breathing is also going to be impacted. So that's really interesting what you're talking about. So overall health is impacted by your posture, but what if then you're not sleeping at night because you can't fall asleep? So that's and this is very common in people dealing with stress and illness.
That is, now we're talking. Now we're
really painting the picture here of we need our sleep.
Now we're taking a short 1 hour conversation that we're having to, months and months and months and months of figuring things out for a patient.
Well, I can't tell you how many people, and my clients especially, they can't sleep. I mean, I'm talking night after night after night. They're not getting enough sleep. Nothing's helping them.
All right. So where do you start? Right.
Exactly.
So first place you start is with consistency. You start with picking the same time to go to bed and the same time to wake up. That's number one. You got to reset your clock. You focus on remembering yourself to sleep, not thinking yourself to sleep. During the day, you can meditate and kind of ground yourself, let thoughts out, journal your thoughts, really focus on being in your own skin, I guess you can say, which
Mhm.
is you're a professional at, right? Is
Pausing.
really educating people on how to feel okay with themselves. So there has to be that level of acceptance because you can't bring that to the bedroom.
Well, because then you can have, because one of the biggest things of pain causing is spouses. Okay. So that's another issue with sleep is, if you're in a uncomfortable marriage or a relationship where you're hurt and you're rolling over at night and you're like, I don't want to be here and you're afraid to leave. Sorry. That's another layer.
Let's talk about it. And that and a snorer right next to you
Oh, yes.
versus that
Snore, CPAP.
you battle with sleep covers all night long, heat temperatures. There's so many reasons. So you should have, I'll paint the picture, all
Yeah.
right, of
Okay.
my sleep day. All right, here's the picture. Oh boy, I'm a freak, but here it goes. So I go to bed, same night, same time every night, 9:30 at night. You'd be like, come on, no way. 9:30, I know, I'm a geek. So I go to bed. When I go to sleep, I have a sleep cooling topper. So I cool my body temperature for the first 4 hours when I go to sleep because you get deep sleep when you're cooler. I stop eating. I don't eat late because I stop eating 4 hours before I go to bed. I'll have a snack before I go to bed, small, but I won't have a meal because body core temperature is important. Right when I lie down, I have a sleep tracker. Right when I lie down, I make sure that I am, all thoughts are out of my head. I make sure my room is dark. I have no TV on, no light in my room. I put a pillow underneath my eyes. I have my own comforter. This is a lot of information, but my arms are outside of so my hands and my feet are exposed. So my body can temperature regulate out my hands and my feet.
And how
And
are
my
they? Are they face down? Are they semi-flexed or palms up,
just like
palms down?
I'm in a coffin, unfortunately, right down by my side.
And I
Um,
just want to say that it's Halloween and he's wearing a costume. So maybe we'll just
oh,
share that then, because this
okay. I'm sorry. I'll stand up. See,
is what a chiropractor wears for
there we go.
Halloween.
Yes, I am in a costume. And it's that time of year. Listen, I'm very authentic inside and out, so you can see right through me. No pun intended. And so when you lie down, it's important to have don't be under sheets. Don't have your feet under the covers, jammed into the bottom of the sheets. You want your feet exposed and your hands exposed. And people say, "Well, I'm really cold." All right, warm yourself up, and kick your feet out when you're warmed up. You have to temperature regulate at night.
I'm wondering now, I'm thinking if I'm wrapped up in my sheets and my heavy blanket, does that mean it could put you in a posture that will cause plantar fasciitis?
It will. You give me a side sleeper, I'm going to give you a shoulder problem. I'll give you some sort of back issue, and if you are sleeping with your feet, yeah, there's just so many things about side sleeping that is such a problem. And what I was doing, and I've worked with tens of thousands of different patients, in really understanding why they're coming into my office. What is
Yeah.
causing everybody to have the same problem? And one of the most consistent things is they all sleep on their sides. And I can look at somebody's x-ray and tell them which side they sleep on. And if they're a side sleeper, there's just so much consistency in that 8 hours that you do. I tell people, give me 8 hours a day and I'll change the rest of your life.
Okay. I'm still doubtful that I could ever sleep on my back.
I know. I
I
embrace
will
you.
work on it. I
And I
will
love you
check
for
in with
that.
you.
Yes. And remember, you don't have to be there the entire night. You just
Okay.
need to start there.
Just start there. Good, healthy habits. Okay. So going back then, because I interrupted, sorry, you have your arms out, your feet out. Posture with the arms are kind of neutral.
Yep, neutral, right up I keep them by my side, and I don't like to have my wrists flexed, right, because
That's
that
bad.
causes
Hmm.
carpal tunnel. It will cause that. It'll cause wrist issues. So I like to have I have coined the phrase neutral sleep position. It is a position that your body, all the joints are in a very neutral position. And what a neutral position would mean is my shoulders protected here. It's not protected out here where most people's arms are when they sleep. So if you keep your body in a nice neutral position, you'll be able to stay in that position without tossing and turning. Believe it or not, once you get used to it, for 8 hours a night. I sleep 9 hours. I'm in one position 9 hours a night without tossing and turning.
Okay. Yep. And this is our longest posture held all day. And I always say you are how you move. And when I work with people, usually 65, they start retiring. I say, well, what did you do for work? You know, I was a secretary. I was at the computer all day. I see tons of neck problems. Or if it was a dentist, I see hunchback. You know, and I started to see you are how you move, and we are flexed forward all day long. That's why the neutral posture at night, if you can practice it, makes sense to me now.
Great.
Not extreme palm, because I do think laying and opening up your chest is a good thing at the end of the day.
It
And
is.
I could even feel like the fascial burn here when I'm doing that palms up.
Yep.
But that's really important too. But yeah, we are how we move. So this is a good way, 8 hours a night, if we can really focus on our sleep posture.
Yeah. Reverse the damaging effect of your modern day lifestyle, or of the degeneration in your spine, of the loss of cervical curves at night when you're sleeping. Don't give into it. Don't, curve into it, because all change happens, outside of our comfort zones. So if we want to have a different future, or have a healthier way of life and have less pain and less discomfort, we need to identify where we are now, and then put a plan in place to be able to get you to the next point, or to get you to a new point B, or a better, a healthier place.
Absolutely.
And the sleeping position is one of the, you're doing it subconsciously. You can fix so many problems in your life at night when you're sleeping.
I have a quick question then, because some people have night terrors or they wake up. In fact, I just recently had a patient who had a really bad dream that a T-Rex was chasing him, and he leaped out of bed and he almost had he had a concussion and broke his toe. It was purple. It was swollen. Is there any correlation with sleep posture and dreams or night terrors? Have you
Not
heard
sleep
anything about
posture,
this?
but how much food you eat there is. When
Oh,
so I would ask that patient, they might have been detoxing from something. So when
kind of like
you're
salesman. So eating whatever,
eating
probably on
late,
the road.
more than likely ate late. And I would ask what time of night it was, because that makes a difference. And so there are different variables there.
Yeah.
But you are going to be more likely, if your metabolism is high, your body's going to want to cut that food down by racing your brain. And that's what ends up happening. You usually have, your heart rate increases, and your heart rate increases, your body's doing it because it's trying to pump your blood out and metabolize food.
Okay. Yep. Wow. Interesting. Thanks for that tip. I never realized it. I don't think
Yeah.
people think about their nutrition and when they're eating, and it would be related to
No,
night
there's
shift.
so many things about getting a great night's sleep that's so important. And there's simple little changes that you can make. It's not an overwhelming thing. It all depends on where are you? What do you do? It just, looking at simple things that you're doing during your life, and then just changing them slightly.
Hmm.
And like cutting food back a little bit. Not drinking water after 5 p.m. so you don't wake up in the middle of the night and pee. When you wake up in the middle of the night and pee, do you turn on your lights? Or do you use a blue light? Or do you use a red flashlight? Different things affect melatonin. And if you wake up, now you woken up in the middle of the night, how do you put yourself back to sleep? There's a technique for that too. So there are a lot of variables when you're talking about sleep.
Okay. What's the technique real quick?
So the quickest way to put yourself back to sleep when you wake up in the middle of the sleep is to try to connect to a dream that you were dreaming about, because then it'll put you right back to where your body was putting. If you start to think, it's a very addictive time to think, because you're in your conscious brain and your subconscious brain, and you can think about the world, you can think about life, you can think about everything, and it's really bad. You have to fight for thinking. You got to be rhythmic, count your breath. And when they tell you to count your breath, this is how you do it. You don't count 1, 2, 1. You let the breath happen. And your breath will pause on inhale and exhale. So you let that happen. You go. And that's one breath. So it's all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom. Let the exhale happen. Let the pause happen. People think they stop breathing at night. It's normal to stop breathing at night. Everybody's taught the same lie. Oh, I stop breathing 50 times a night. I know, I do too. Everybody does. But it's airways. I mean, there are different things
It's
with that.
airways.
But
It's the mind going and on an adventure. You're
yeah, but
running
just
from a
go
T-Rex.
through that whole thing of that sleep pattern.
Okay. Interesting. And okay, I had another question. It escaped me, but Sometimes I don't really, sometimes I have a lot of dreams and sometimes I have none and I can't remember them. Is there any correlation to nutrition with that?
Oh, there's a big one. There's a correlation with alcohol. There's a correlation with now in Massachusetts where I am, marijuana. So what happens if you do anything that affects your deep sleep, and there are different cycles of sleep. We don't need to get into all of those, but most of our healing's done in deep sleep, and it's really important for us to go through natural REM sleep. If you are depleted of REM sleep, you'll REM sleep towards the end of your sleep pattern. Your body will make it up, and you have more vivid dreams. It's normal to go through the process and not really remember your dreams. When you're consciously remembering, you either got woken up in a REM cycle, or you ate late and your body's really in it, and it affected your sleep cycles at the very beginning, and you're making up your REM in the morning.
Okay, yeah, you're really driving home the time of sleep and the consistency there and not eating at night, late
Yes,
at night. Okay.
it is. That's really the number one mistake people make is they eat too late, especially when you have that racing brain. And alcohol and THC affect you. CBD doesn't, but THC does.
Okay, yep. And that's why we just had a great experience, you and I, this weekend with Dry Farms Wines, which is this wonderful, healthy, organic wine that doesn't leave any type of hangover or icky feeling. That was nice because that's also, it's hard to get people off of their alcohol,
Yeah, and
so finding healthier
regardless,
choices.
so it's every ounce of alcohol is going to take about an hour to metabolize.
Oh, okay.
So if you have any alcohol, it's the alcohol. It's not the actual. It's not the what you're drinking
You're
that
drinking
affects you. I mean, the carbohydrates. If I guess arguably, if you have too much carbohydrates, you wake up all night peeing, and
your blood sugar.
you'll sweat it out. But it's the alcohol. So if you're going to have a glass of wine, you should have a glass of wine at least an hour or two before you go to bed, and then go to bed. If you're going to have two glasses of wine, then you're going to kind of mess yourself up. The more it actually builds on itself. So if you want to have a glass of wine, have it with dinner, but don't have it after, and it won't affect your sleep that much.
Okay,
And the
good
next
tip.
thing, I think that is a huge tip that we go over is that caffeine. It takes the average individual, if you're a medium metabolizer of caffeine, the half-life of caffeine is 5 hours. So that's in a small little cup of coffee, usually the 75 milligrams. That means after 5 hours of when you have one cup of caffeine, instead, let's say there's 100 milligrams, and half of that, like in 5 hours, is going to be 50. In 5 hours after that, 25. 25, you can go to sleep and not affect your sleep cycles with caffeine. So that's if you have one cup at like 10 in the morning, before noon. People have big cups, like a Starbucks. Some of them have
2 ounces.
300 milligrams of caffeine. The half-life of that after 5 hours is still 150. And the half-life of that is like at 9 o'clock at night when you're trying to go to bed, you're still affected by having a cup of caffeine in the morning. It is so crazy how caffeine affects us. Never have it after noon. That's kind of my big tip here.
But we all love it because Starbucks is always full. That drive-through, that's the biggest drug in this country. And then you get there, you want your coffee, you haven't had it yet, you're stumbling, and they're like, how are you this morning? And I'm like, I don't know, I haven't had my coffee yet.
And never have, here's another one. This is just, this is out there. I hate it. Now I'm going to really put a little.
But you know what? Acknowledging and learning and educating yourself will help you change the habits sometimes. That's why I like watching summits, because I learn tips to help me. I just have to follow through with it. So I do want to get off caffeine because I know it's not good for me and stress. So tell us.
And if you exactly, because this one we're going to be talking about cortisol right now. Cortisol. Ready for this? So if you are dealing with a population that wants to, let's say, regulate their hormones, let's say we're dealing with that type of population. The first thing that you don't want to do the minute you wake up is throw your hormones out of balance. You should never have caffeine within the first hour of when you wake up.
You're crazy.
I'm
sorry. I think I need an IV bag there. I just wake up and I put it in. It's there. You're crazy.
I know.
Oh, no.
Yes. This is not a hormonal talk, but I'm going to tell you the first thing that I do with my patients that have cycles that run for 15 days, or they're going through menopause, is stop the caffeine first hour when you wake up.
Okay.
And then second is I fast them, but that's different.
Why is that? Just to let your body adjust to the day and start
Your
off
body
fresh?
needs to wake up naturally, and it's when your adrenal glands release the most amount of adrenaline, and you want the body to wake up and naturally. You don't want to stress your adrenal glands, because when you do, you're stimulating your adrenal glands all day long. You're throwing the body out of balance.
Okay, and are adrenals also playing a role if, say, you suddenly wake up at 4 in the morning? You know, where you have these sudden blood sugar issues or adrenals where you just suddenly wake up, you can't fall back to sleep.
Yes, the adrenal glands are well, yeah, that's circadian rhythm, and you can your energy spikes is what you're talking about. They can be thrown off due to different lifestyle consistencies. If you're consistent with your lifestyle, that body will regulate more efficiently. When
Okay.
you're traveling and different things are happening, and you're not consistent with time zones, or you stay up late one night, you go to bed early the next night, and you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning one day to exercise, and you don't the next day, you're throwing the body out of rhythm. Body hates being out of rhythm. So yeah, that plays a role.
That just drives in that you have to be consistent. And
That's it.
1 hour and a
Maybe the
half at night
topic
on
of
my
this
back.
call is consistency. That would be great.
Okay. All right. So going back to the mattress type, you said one that is adjustable is ideal because you can lift your head up a little bit. But why no mattress coils? Because that's a big one I've been hearing about.
That's great. I want the mattress to bend. What's more important to me than the sleep surface you sleep on, because we make mattresses more comfortable to be in more awkward. Basically, mattresses are made for side sleeping and stomach sleepers, because they're trying to make the mattress more comfortable for your horrible sleeping position. So if we can get out of our own way and say, listen, all we need to sleep is on a fur on the floor, right? You shouldn't have to have this super comfortable mattress where your shoulder falls into it so you can stay longer in the wrong position, which even more complicates and destroys our spine. So let's get the mattress out of the way.
Yeah,
Now,
soft, medium, firm. I find firm for me works better for my back.
right. So let's go
Any answers,
latex
Peter.
or foam, latex, foam, or air, right? Based on being able to bend.
Okay.
What's more important to me than with a base is how you bend the mattress. I want a mattress that flexes so we can put a $700 sleep elevated surface underneath. I believe your mate or if you have a partner, and yours should be independent. I believe they should go up and down independent of yours. So there should be a split in the middle.
Even on a queen? I was just thinking that'd be, you can get
Yeah,
a
I don't know
queen.
if you can do
I
that with a
wonder.
queen. I
I
think
wonder.
you can only do that with a king.
Okay, got a small place.
Yep. So queen. Okay, fine. Just flip up.
King sounds easy. That's luxury. You go there on your other half, and I'm on my half.
Yeah.
But queen, I think it would be harder. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
Queen is. You can't. I don't think you can do it with a queen.
Yeah.
So maybe you just elevate
You
and
invent one. You need to invent your own mattress now. I'm nominating you.
a separate queen. We would be like this, two twins. And then what you would do is you bend. So I would recommend, like I said, foam, latex, something like that. Foam's hot, latex is less. I like latex. And then put a sleeping topper on it. And then you use your comfort based on the topper. So whether you want a down topper, a 6-inch down, a memory foam topper, a latex topper, then use the topper for your comfort.
Okay.
And then that way you get a nice firm support underneath. And then you use the topper that can decrease your pressure points as you sleep.
All right. Sounds good. So we've covered the mattress. And then what is the cooling mattress topper that you like?
So the cooling mattress that we are working with now is the Uller. There's an Uller and there's a Chili Pad. The Uller, it's a little bit more expensive, but you can, my patients I work with and the people in their quest, I can look at their sleep scores and identify based on that when their core temperature needs to drop and elevate, and you can automatically regulate the temperature based on that mattress pad.
Yeah.
And the Chili Pad, you'd have to set to a temperature. And I feel that I'm like a popsicle. If I wake up and then if the pad itself doesn't change its temperature underneath me, I get too cold. And due to something that's called allostatic load, you want the temperature to change like your body temperature does at night.
Okay, cool. All right. So any other thoughts on the role of sleep as far as pain goes?
Well, pain happens due to biomechanics. When somebody has a hip issue, they're a side sleeper, or if they have a hip issue, they have everything follows where your eyes go. Pain and wearing down of the spine happens due to improper biomechanics, which is due to our lifestyle. So that as a chiropractor, what happens though, what a critical portion of this is the damage that's happened to your spine is now scar tissue's developed, and your spine's like hardened clay. And clay is not moldable. So if you have a chiropractor, that's great. If not, I would get one, because what a chiropractic adjustment will do is help restructure that scar tissue and take your clay and like put it in water. And when you put your clay in water, now it becomes moldable. Then it becomes a lot easier to start adjusting the spine to a new sleeping position. So the fundamental thing that you can do on your own is change your sleep position. If there's a lot of degeneration that's associated with the spine that's affecting the way the nervous system functions and the parasympathetic nervous system and things like that, you really would need to, visit a local chiropractor, which I think
Okay.
is critical to that.
Okay, and I want to hear more about your journey of creating this pillow, the neck nest, because I've gone to chiropractors or osteopaths, and they have pillows with little triangle holes in them, and they have all kinds of different pillows. How did you come up with this, and what was your process?
So I watched. I did an article for a friend of mine called Dr. Joe Mercola, and in there I explained that I was watching a movie a long time ago called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll put the story in the in our notes. And they came out of the room, and this was I don't know, was it built? I think it was set in like the 1500s, and there was a block of wood for their pillow.
Okay, yeah.
And I was sitting there, I'm like, a block of wood? That's not a pillow. They're supporting their cervical spines. So from that point on, I started trying to tuck a down pillow under my neck to get my neck back as far back as I could. And then when I herniated my disc, I found that it wasn't getting back far enough. So that's when I designed the neck nest. And that's when I haven't had back pain since, is when I was really able to get that extension in my neck. Really, that is a comfortable block of wood, is in a sense what it is.
Okay, so, and that's, okay, that makes sense then. So it's not supposed to go on my shoulders. It's supposed to go up here.
Yeah, and then tuck it under. Yeah, should be all the way under there. Yes, and then your head arches back over it.
Okay. Okay.
And when I put you in that position, when I saw you last weekend, I'll have a video that explains exactly how to do that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and it feels like a nice, squishy, soft, comfortable pillow, and the material's really nice on it too. That's a plus. But yeah, it's just, I don't like too firm of pillows either. That's painful, and memory foam's really hard to move around at night when you're happy.
Yeah, and all of those things are supporting your head. And if you memory foam, it just pushes too much back at you. And when you're doing those things, they're very, very uncomfortable. One of the things that people love about this and can't get used to sometimes is when it flattens out, if it moves out of position. That is on purpose, because if I put foam in there or a harder material and you tossed and turned, it would jam up your neck. So I want it once it moves out of position, that it's a comfortable position for you to use in any position.
Okay, and then just tell people about how it's made as far as what's in it, if it's hypoallergenic. And I know that you can unzip it and take out the stuff.
All right, let's do this here.
He's like, I'm creating videos for you people.
This is fantastic. You can unzip it. It is a mess. All right. To unzip
I know. Yes, you warned me.
Yeah, that pillow, to unzip the neck nest is a mess. I'm going to put a disclaimer. You can customize your own neck nest. It has 2 different chambers designs, but it's a mess to do it. So the reason why I did that is I have patients here at my office that if I look at your x-ray, I know exactly how much fill to put in. So I remove it and add it. I've done it a whole bunch. I'll go in and show you how to do it. Yeah, it's tiny. So I use down without using down, because down poke back at my neck. Those little like
those
things, the sticks that poke at you. That's ducking down, and it is and it has all that stuff removed. So it's a more condensed, it's more condensed. So it's more supportive than down is, but it's a mess when
Well, I know I watched you. You're like, I mean, you had your whole hand in there and you were just like ever so cautiously, because any bit of wind or
yeah.
it will fly everywhere. So,
Right. So
okay.
do it outside.
Do it
And if you
outside.
do get a neck nest, you can always touch base with me. And I'm very, and when you, the thing that we, well, I don't know if we talk about that, but this is obviously not a sales thing for the neck nest. But if you do get one, what we're doing, just because of the recharge, and Phaedra and I, we're so,
You like body mechanics and believe you are how you move.
we talked about this. You get a free entry into our Sleep Quest, and in doing that, you have access to me every Wednesday night, and you can ask me questions and stuff like that live on a Zoom call like this.
Oh, very, very cool. Yes. So you've got a nice page you set up, and there you do have good education on your website. Well, Dr. Peter Martone, you've been excellent in teaching us, because this has been something in my 5 series that I've done that I haven't had anybody who could really address. So thank you for, unfortunately, your back pain, which led you to watch Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and creating this pillow.
Thank you. Yep.
But thank you so much for sharing, because this is a big, important thing. We're 8 hours, if we can get 8 hours of sleep every night. And it's one way that we can really work on our posture without having to work too hard.
It is. And thank you so much for what you're doing, because you're an educator yourself, and in your tribe and your community, what you're trying to create. And I love just anything I can do to be a part of it. It's how I am. And thank you so much for believing in me enough to be able to expose me to your tribe. Thank you.
Yes, and I am going to be trying this pillow out, and I'm going to be diligent about it and using those tips that you gave us for really finding comfort while trying to be on your back. I will do my best, and I will commit to starting coffee an hour after I wake up. You guys going to do that with me too? We'll see. All right. Thanks so much, Dr. Peter Martone.
All right. Thank you for having me, Phaedra.
Okay, my eyes were just opened. So we have some things that we need to work on to help us sleep better. And I love the examples that he gave, and that he gave alternatives, because I know being on my back during nighttime is going to be mission impossible, but I will put every effort into it. So are you in with me? Are we going to make these changes for better sleep? Because sleep is so related to our pain levels, anxieties, our mood, all of that. So thank you, Dr. Martone. I really appreciate it. And there is so much great information in this series, and it's just my pleasure to be able to present it to you. And if you like this series and you want to keep the copy all access of these interviews, because I know I like to have interviews playing, because when I educate myself, it really does help empower me to make those changes for my health. And you can purchase that if you'd like. And it also includes a couple bonuses, and that will be mapping trauma in your body. And also it will include a one-on-one session with me where you and I can talk and problem solve any of those health challenges that you're having. If you have some emotional or physical pain, we can definitely address that too. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to continue to share this series with you.